Welcome friends to a portrait drawing tutorial. So today I will show you how I approach drawing a portrait based from a photo. And feel free to join in. I've selected a photo that is free and I've linked it down in the description. You're very welcome to join my Discord, show me your progress and ask questions if you have any. A link to the Discord is also down below in the description. Also, I've divided this video into several chapters so you can revisit them if you need to. And if you need more specific information, let me know in the comments or on my Discord. And if required, I'll make specific videos for those chapters. This tutorial is focused on the face, so if you are looking for information about how to draw hair, let me know about that down in the comments. If you find this video helpful, give me a thumbs up. For upcoming tutorials or portraits, please subscribe. I would appreciate that very much. But now, let's get started. In general, don't stress about the materials you're using. We are learning, so you can practice with almost every kind of material. So of course you need paper. I have a 190 gram paper that I use for the latest portraits, but you can draw on any white paper or almost white paper that you can find. This is slightly thicker, it's not cardboard or anything. Pretty nice for portraits. It has structure. I have other paper that is almost without any structure, but for my pencil portraits I prefer a little bit of structure. Might be different for you. Just try. And if you're using printer paper for now, perfectly fine. In terms of pencils, you have an even bigger selection that you can choose from. And for now, everything there is also fine. So these are all very different options, which are completely valid for now. So if you're using one that you got from a hotel, with even the eraser already in there for training purposes, totally fine. Slightly better one, even those pointy mechanical pencils, perfectly fine. They have even their advantages if you're looking at details. I have drawn my almost complete Loki portrait with that pencil. So perfect. And then there are the little bit more expensive ones, or even this very, very dark black one that I really like for detail work to increase contrast. But you would be fine with one single pencil for a whole portrait for training purposes. So don't sweat it. The same with eraser. So for example, this one would be enough for your training. There are the more interesting ones, I would say. This is actually a cheap one that I got from Wish in my Wish haul. It is pretty okay. So it's an edible eraser that gives you a lot of control also for detail work. And there are, which I really like, eraser pens, which give you also a good control. You can sharpen them and they're nice. Or use anything else you have in terms of eraser. Careful, sometimes eraser like this one, I really do not like it. It leaves a certain color on your paper and can even damage it. With all the materials you will use, try them out, because you want to know how to use them, how much force you need to get the color that you want, and how much force you can use to still be able to erase them, because especially in the beginning phase, there will be a lot of erasing. When you select a model, select one that you want to draw. That sounds obvious, but it helps a lot. There are things that make a picture more difficult or easy to reproduce. You should select a reference picture based on your experience. And if you want to challenge you right now, sometimes you just want to have a little portrait fun. So that's totally fine. And what you really want to learn. So obviously you don't select a bald person if you want to train drawing hair. But there are less obvious factors that influence the degree of difficulty of a reference picture. The one I selected here, for example, is pretty easy. You don't have teeth, for example, which I don't like that much to draw, as well as beards. You have a pretty neutral facial expression that also helps. But one of the most important things, probably for the beginning, to not get frustrated, is there is no angle in the face of this woman in this picture. So there is no degree of rotation or tilt or anything in the face, and that makes it a lot easier. As well as the lighting situation, which is not very extreme, and that makes it also a little bit easier. So keep in mind, select the picture based on your goals. Proportions are extremely important, especially if you select a face that is well known. If you are choosing a celebrity or somebody, you of course want people to recognize the person. If the proportions are off, that will be much more difficult. If you're selecting a not well known face, as in this case, it's not that important, but you at least want to be in an area where you see, oh, that is a human being that could definitely exist. To make sure that your proportions are correct, you simply measure. You can use different tools for this. You can use your pencil, for example, if you're drawing a little bit smaller. I'm using for now this stick because it is quite long and served me well in the past. And the thing that you really do is you select a couple of reference points in your picture and just measure how far they are from each other. For example, you measure the width of the head versus the height of the head and see, okay, there is a first information here in this picture that I can use. The width of the face is pretty much exactly as wide as the height between chin and eyebrows. You can use that in your picture because the very first distance I can choose, how big do you want to draw the face? And then you can measure the same distance and say, this is the width. Here I want to have my chin, and that means here I will have my eyebrows. Don't hesitate to make as many measurements as you feel you need to feel comfortable to continue. And don't be afraid to change lines that you have drawn. And once you think you know where everything should be, draw it as a light outline so that you can change it whenever you want to, but you get a first idea where everything is lying. And don't be afraid if the picture at this state does not look like your model. That is pretty normal. When you start shading, that's the point in time when the picture starts to grow out of the piece of paper. So it's quite an exciting point. So what I do is I start with a pencil that's not very soft. So that way I get quite light shades and I can still erase it very well. There are a lot of different types of shading that you can choose from, and you should always choose the one that helps you the most again for your goals. For me, for example, in this case, I'm trying to be quite fast actually, because I've noticed that I always need about the same time frame to complete portraits. So I want to get out of that comfort zone, be a little bit faster, and therefore you see me quite rough. My style is in general pretty rough, but even more rough, shading in a couple of layers, but not in a perfectly photorealistic, perfectly smooth fashion. And that way you hopefully manage to get the first similarity to the portrait you want to create. But you're always limited by the tools you are using. In this case, I've used a very hard pencil that does not get very dark. I very much love to incorporate a lot of contrast, so I would use at least two other different pencils. That is, in this case, a nice one and a quite soft one. And after it was appropriately sharpened, we start just going into the picture and increasing in certain areas the contrast in shading, but as well in lines. The details that lend themselves very much for more contrast and therefore making your picture pop and make it seem more lively are the eyes, the nose and the mouth. So basically all of the elements of a face. At the eyes, it's especially the eyelashes. They give, regardless if it's male or female, a lot of character to a face. So don't forget them. Also, if you notice that in some areas there is also basic shading missing or you want to correct something, it's your work, it's your decision. Do what you feel like you need to do. And this is our result. My goal for this one was to be, as I said, a bit quicker, to be a bit more bold, perhaps even in my decisions, going out of my comfort zone in that regard, and I'm pretty happy with the result. The tips I've given you are definitely not the only way to go about those things. There are a lot of different ways. So don't limit yourself to this one tutorial. Do a little window shopping. Look what others are doing and see if you can incorporate that and if it helps you to find your style. Always be aware that this is your journey at your speed and it only makes sense as long as you have fun with it. If you liked this video and you found some helpful information, give me a thumbs up, subscribe for upcoming tutorials and portraits. Thank you very much for watching. I loved having you here. See you next time. Bye.